Hi, greetings. No, I'm not planning to present a sermon. I know this is not you as a subject that is normally discussed in the corporate environment. Forgiveness, unforgiveness, and to link it uh, to being a leadership competence. Yeah, we're going to a place that's not normally traversed. But spend a little time with me this morning because this is important. Uh, and as we will see, forgiveness and unforgiveness are actually bottom line, bottom line considerations. Let's have a discussion about it. I'm Trevor E.S. Smith. I'm with the Successful People Academy, and I'll be your guide today as we tackle this interesting and infrequently addressed issue. So, we're going to look at the context. This is our agenda. We want to look at the context. We're going to look at some of the challenges that are presented as a result of a lack of forgiveness, unforgiveness. And then, as usual, in our live casts and in our newsletters, we like to present solutions to the issues that we have identified. So we want to look at forgiveness and the fact that it embraces empathy. We want to look at forgiveness because it actually is helpful, it's good for the forgiver. And we also want to look at the whole issue of forgiveness as an enabler of innovation and creativity. Let me just give you a little bit of housekeeping. At any point in time, you can actually type in the chat. You're not able to mic up or come on camera, but you can, in fact, make an input. You can, in fact, ask a question via the chat. And if you wish, if you're watching this after, you can send me an email at info@successwithpeople.org. info@successwithpeople.org. So let's go. Unforgiveness. This is interesting in that I decided to, put in a Google search for unforgiveness to see the costs, and boom, right at the top came an article that I wrote in 2020, I think, for a national newspaper. Interesting. So, organizations. I think this slide represents some of the quote from that article. Organizations invest time and money in productivity enhancement. We do a lot of work helping organizations to enhance their productivity. And we know performance management is a high priority area. Yet, quietly, those efforts are being undermined by what I called a resistant stream of unforgiveness. Hardcore unforgiveness is undermining performance and productivity in organizations. This hardcore unforgiveness has taken root in teams, and there are also interdepartmental challenges arising from the failure to let things go, the failure to resolve conflict, to deal with unresolved conflict. I think that we would be shocked out of our wits when someone goes and does the work to identify the cost. The cost, I'm talking financial cost, reputational cost, the cost of losing your the talent that you want to keep. All of those factors are there. This is a tremendous cost attached to unforgiveness. And we need to bring it to the fore. We need to pay attention to it. And that's why I'm doing this live cast. Hopefully, it makes a difference. So, what are some of the issues? What are some of the challenges that arise from this failure to adopt forgiveness as an integral part of your strategic plan? How does an organization benefit when I have a challenge with John or Mary has a problem with Tom and we just don't talk? We just don't talk. Yes. How does that not impact performance, productivity, employee engagement, employee satisfaction, employee staff retention? When this cancer, behavioral cancer, spreads, and increasingly we have people not talking to each other, although they need to work together. What is the impact on employee satisfaction when leaders at all levels use the performance appraisal system as a weapon to punish those who cross their paths? So, Rohan, I have an issue with him. I have to do his performance appraisal. I am not going to make a fuss in the moment. I am just going to wait. I'm just going to wait until the performance appraisal comes up. And then I get my revenge. Next time, Rohan, you will know that you don't cross my path. You do what I'm telling you to do, and I don't want any pushback, etc. You line up and be a good boy. Otherwise, you pay the price. And as we know, performance appraisals go directly into the financial returns of the individual. It has cost implications, financial implications. What about the whole issue now that if we have a culture of unforgiveness where, and it's not just interpersonal, it could be I failed, I made a mistake, I cost the company some money here, I messed up, I had a problem with a client. People make mistakes. If I can't get over those mistakes, if there's a culture of unforgiveness as it relates to mistakes on the job, feelings, things that didn't go the way that was planned, what am I tempted to do? I'm a good boy, so I'm not going to do it. But is there a temptation for me then to cover up, or even to deceive? If I know that an error is going to be very costly, either in terms of my performance appraisal, or maybe I might even be discharged from the job. If that is the culture, that you do not make mistakes in this environment because you're going to pay the price, would that not encourage others who are not like me to start to hide or to deceive, straight up, maybe even lie totally? That's a question that we have to look at. The ethical implications of unforgiveness. What about the health challenges? The literature is replete with data, medical data, that points out to the health impact of unforgiveness on individuals. When you consider that, what if my blood pressure goes up? What if I'm, suffering from stress-related illnesses? Am I going to be as productive? What about my time off? And what about the cost of going to have treatment or to get medication? Those things are important. And that's why I'm saying to you, I will get there, that regarding forgiveness as a strategic imperative can, in fact, impact the bottom line in significant ways. And then are we oblivious to, I'm calling it corporate sabotage, because when team members are at odds and are not communicating effectively, are not cooperating at all, in effect, they are sabotaging the overall performance of the organization. And we know that. And some of them are deep, deep. Yeah. We have silos that have been constructed, some of them on the basis of conflict, unresolved conflict, which has now turned into unforgiveness. So the issue of forgiveness has dollars and cents relevance to the bottom line. And in addition to the human factor. All right, so let's go a little further here. So what are some of the answers? Clearly, forgiveness and unforgiveness clearly have important implications for the effective functioning of the organization. Your team needs to have a culture of forgiveness for it to function effectively. Why am I saying that? Well, one, in a scenario where unforgiveness is pervasive or significantly present, there's going to be an impact on communication in terms of how transparent we are and how open we are in terms of our communication. We might not speak to each other in the kinds of empowering and enabling ways that we ought to, because of hurt and because of unresolved issues. Similarly, we might not cooperate as much with someone that we're not speaking to. Kind of difficult. And of course, the teams. And by the way, teams are critical in terms of success, in terms of being able to achieve your goals. And if the teams are dysfunctional or are being impacted negatively by people holding on to grudges and people not communicating well because of some unresolved conflict, then the organization suffers. I just mentioned the de facto sabotage, need not go back over that. And then the whole question of diminished capacity. When I am in that unforgiving mood, my capacity to think well is impacted. I don't. There's an emotional component that probably rises to the top and replaces some of the rational, logical thinking that is expected of me. So for these reasons, I'm suggesting actually going right there to the end that forgiveness should be treated as a required competence for leaders at all levels, and should be part of the training plans. And here it is. It should be part of the performance appraisal system. People respond to things that impact their pockets and their career paths. And so if we can identify ways that we could actually monitor how people resolve issues, how people are willing to move forward from conflict, and to encourage a culture in which forgiveness is the norm. If we can do that, not only will we be more successful in our organizations, but we will also make the world a better place. So I'm going to share just three, because of time. I'm just going to share three reasons for elevating forgiveness to being a required, monitored, and nurtured leadership competence. Let's go. So forgiveness embraces empathy. Yeah. I find it challenging to see how you would forgive someone without having some degree of empathy with them. Yes. So you recognize something about their humanity. It's, yeah, I believe that genuine forgiveness has a component where you would recognize um, and identify with aspects of the individual who had done the wrong or who was in need of forgiveness. So no one would seriously question the critical need for empathy among those who lead. Yes. So the Oxford Language Dictionary describes empathy as the ability to understand and share the feeling of another. So in effect, we're talking about a better, deeper understanding of other individuals. Some way I like to think about it as standing in the shoes of others, standing in their shoes. So you understand where they're coming from, you understand the challenges that they may be having, you understand issues that might be impacting their behavior, what it is that they're saying. So that's something that I think leaders need to have. That's a requirement now. Before um, tell, go, do what I say, that's not working today. This is a different work environment. And today we need to have empathy. Workers expect leaders to care, expect leaders to understand or to try to understand their circumstances. And that then means that when I mess up or when I fail to do what you've asked me to do or what is expected of me, before coming down on me, before punishing me, you need to have dialogue with me. You need to seek to understand the circumstances surrounding that episode and why is it that that happened. Because if you do that, not only will you earn my trust, not only will you um, have me better engaged, I'm more focused on doing the right thing, but you would have equipped me. We would have identified the core problem or a core issue, and then we can move forward. So this whole concept of seeking to let things go, address them, put them in the past, makes sense from a performance, from a productivity point of view. Yeah. But of course, in the rough and tumble of the dog eat dog kind of intense environment, um, that is sort of put to the side. We have urgency. We need to meet these deadlines, and we're just going at that pace. However, I'm suggesting that if leaders were to step back a little bit and to seek to understand what is it that led to mishaps, that led to performance glitches, it would make a difference going forward. All right. So the empathy is there. But what is the reality? And I've been working with teams now for a couple of decades actually. And I am painfully aware of classic examples of unforgiveness, which literally choking the lives out of the productivity of a team. So here's a one that I share. Um, this is an open seating plan. So I can look and I can see my colleague. Okay, but this is a real case, so let me tell you. So it's actually two ladies. I'm not going to get into the gender thing, but it was the specific case was that. And they have an issue, so they're not communicating. So I'm looking across at Mary's desk. I am Jane, that's what I say. And I need to have her do something. I write the note. Yes, this happened sometime before, so the chat and the electronic stuff wasn't prevalent then. So I write the note and wait. And when Mary gets up to go somewhere, I go quickly, put the note on her desk, go back to my thing. When Mary comes, she will see the note. That's how bad that situation was. That they were not communicating at all. And so there was a note passing effect. Kind of crazy. So I don't know. You may have encountered examples in which failure to forgive has sort of placed a damper on either within the team or on a more regular basis, the interdepartmental dynamics. Yeah. But just consider for a moment how much could be gained if a lot of the existing bad blood could be washed away. What if people were to actually let some of these things go? And sometimes the things are very minor that have just been blown up, but we'll get there. So let's move forward. Second reason why is that, frankly, it makes sense for us, and it's not just the leader, it makes sense for us to forgive. Why? Because sometimes we think about forgiveness um, and think that it is the offender or the person who is in need of forgiveness who gets the benefit when we forgive. However, there is overwhelming evidence, medical evidence, etc., that speaks to the benefit to those who forgive. And some of the benefits include stress reduction, less hostility, better anger management, lower risk of substance abuse, healthier relationships, yes, greater religious or spiritual well-being, improved psychological well-being. This person, the persons who are ready to forgive, are in a completely better place, much better place in all sorts of different areas. So that's why, again, organizations should take the step to have forgiveness be regarded as a strategic objective and have the leaders manifest that, right? Model forgiveness. On the other hand, clinical psychologist Everett Worthington Jr., he's with the Virginia Commonwealth University, has found that people who won't forgive tend to have negative indicators of health and well-being. So the organization is showing that they care when they encourage and enforce a situation in which leaders are enabled, if you want, nurtured in the context of being more willing to forgive. And the kinds of things would be your stress-related disorders, low immune function, worse rate of cardiovascular disease as compared to the wider population. So at the core essence is that by failing to forgive, you are actually punishing yourself. And it is a recurring punishment. Keeps on. You have to pay consistently. All right, let's move on. So the third one is that forgiveness actually supports innovation and creativity. We know today that there is a desperate need to embrace disruption. We want to be the innovators. We want to disrupt our competitors before they come and disrupt us. So this whole quest for innovation and creative mindsets is there. Now, creativity and innovation comes with risks that errors might be made. If you are in an environment in which every error is documented and it's on your file, and when you ask who was your predecessor, you understand that they made a mistake and that's why they are not there anymore. What kind of mindset would that produce? You're going to have people that are afraid to experiment, afraid to introduce creativity. And so if we can if we could understand the fallibility factor, that we are um, capable of error. And if we take that into consideration and build a controlled environment in which we understand that errors will be made, we understand that people need to experiment, and that we will let it go in a controlled way. I'm not suggesting chaos, but we should lean more to treating errors as a learning experience as against an opportunity for punishment. If we understand that, if we can create that kind of culture where we can learn from mistakes as against imposing, sanctions and punishments for errors, we're going to find that we're becoming more creative, more innovative. That's my thinking anyway. So we're talking about the organization, and we're telling what the organization needs to do. But what about you? Or what about me? All right. So let me go here. How we perceive and process incidents, how we filter incoming information, determines whether we end up in forgiveness or unforgiveness. Where am I going with this? I'm going to put two cases before you, two incidents, two scenarios, and just think how you would respond to them. All right. So what happens then is that something happens to us. We think that we are wronged. In the moment, maybe we feel a little emotional about it. But then on the way home and so on, we start to ruminate a little bit more about it. And we're saying, hey, no, but wait, no, that should never have happened. Oh, come on, this. And so we build it up. And then we go home and we tell our family that, hey, what happened? No way, that can't be. We talk to our colleagues, and our colleague says, no, you have to do something about it. And so it escalated to a point where, you actually are nurturing the feeling, the emotion of unforgiveness. And that strain of unforgiveness is sometimes not even limited to the individual or the specific circumstances. Anything that's close to it, anybody that's linked to it, might also be touched by this deeply rooted unforgiveness. And you might find that you burst off into fits of anger, fits of rage with individuals who had nothing to do with the situation. In some instances, you might even become bitter, and you might stifle your joy and actually get into antisocial habits. I'm sure not none of you are there, but you can see how this thing could escalate to that. And so we encourage those of you, that you have influence over, to understand this process, this potential for escalation. So here's a big question, right? And it's an issue that we need to confront. And we respond differently to different scenarios. That's really what it is. And the example that I use is that the child slaps you, bow. Even if they're angry, it's a different situation if a colleague actually puts their hand on you in an argument. No, that is another matter altogether. No, you can't touch me. You can see how that will be treated differently. Here's another one. So your mother is a little bit upset with you, and she says some things to you that really cut you through and through. Really have a hard time dealing with it. A madman sees you on the road, an insane person, and says almost, it's like a recording, says exactly the same things that your mother said to you. Well, okay. You're not, you hear it, but you're not even internalizing it. So we actually treat the things differently. We don't treat them the same way, right? We don't get really hurt and go to work and spend days, weeks, months, sometimes years saying, a madman, this insane person said this about me. We don't do that. And the key then that we need to answer is why not? Why not? I think in the final analysis, it is a choice that we are making, and it's part of our personality, it's part of our makeup. We'll make a decision what it is that we're going to internalize and what it is that we're going to just let go. And no matter how much we convince ourselves that no, we need to have this and this behavior is unforgivable and all of that, it's still a choice. It's a choice that we're making, and we can make other choices. We can decide to deflect, to ignore, or to just get by. Forgive. That's where I want to put the emphasis. As we look at it from a corporate point of view, understand all the implications in terms of the bottom line, we also need to take personal responsibility for how we internalize, how we process incoming information. It is important for us to understand that we are making choices. And if we make bad choices, not only are we paying for it, because we have looked at the medical science that we are paying the price, not the forgiver. As a matter of fact, it is saying that forgiveness is a gift to ourselves. It is also said that it is like a wonder drug, because by letting go of these things, we are reducing stress, we're going to reduce the risk of all of these cardiovascular diseases, etc. So forgiveness is a gift to ourselves. We need to encourage, we need to demonstrate, manifest this behavior so that we start to create a culture in which people are willing to let go of things, make a choice, make a decision that I'm not going to internalize this. I'm not going to keep this in my heart. Let me share a quick word there, and that is that while you are seething, while you are carrying this hurt, the person who might have caused the hurt is unaware. They are, enjoying the ball game. They're on the beach playing while you are there seething. So just bear that in mind. Take the gift, forgive yourself. All right, so what's the bottom line here? So issues like this discussion is a shock when somebody sees in a corporate environment, somebody talking about forgiveness. Is this going to be a sermon? Is this going to be church work? Issues like this are not usually addressed in traditional approaches to working with teams and with leadership development. We at the Successful People Academy have a different approach. We understand the implications of these behavioral factors on performance. And so we widen our scope and vision to address these present day realities. So here's my invitation. Just take a few minutes to talk to me, just to explore our approach to enhancing the performance of your teams and the success of your leaders. Let's have a discussion. Just send me an email to info@successwithpeople.org. info@successwithpeople.org, and just have a conversation. Believe me, it's just easy. We're not going to be harassing you about any commitments. Just hear a different approach, right? So if you send me an email, I will send you. I like to send a Zoom link because it's easy. and we just get online and talk. It can be for a minute, it can be for however long. But let's not ignore some of these factors that are critical to your personal satisfaction, staff retention, employee engagement, resilience, performance, and also the productivity of your team. Thank you for your time. If you want to have a question, you can put it in the chat, and I will take a quick look now and respond to see if there are any questions, any issues that you have. Thank you for your time. I'm going to send you the recording so that you can share with your colleagues. Maybe we can start to create an environment where forgiveness is regarded as an important strategic objective. Thank you for your time.